Hello, this is Rue from the Plutonian Podcast. I'm your host here to bring the ruthless, beautiful, ugly truth that most people don't like to hear. I'm also here to inform you that I'm a filthy mouth breather. I'm trying to identify as a open-faced breather. I'm trying to start a new religion. It's called mouth breathing. No, I'd like to recognize that we do need to breathe fresh air for all practical reasons, and that there is a spiritual significance to breathing in Shakti and fresh air. And I just like to joke around a little bit. Actually, this weekend I went to the Renaissance Festival over in Something'sburg, Ohio. It was pretty cool going to a Renaissance festival. I'd never been to one. And it was very interesting seeing a whole lot of people crammed into a tight space wearing costumes. And I wore my tinfoil wizard hat, and I got a lot of recognition for that. And people were wondering if it was for the aliens, and I would tell them it's for COVID. You know. And a lot of little kids asked me about if it was for the aliens, which is weird because the little kids were curious like that. But anyways, I hope everyone's having a good day. And I've been having a lot of better luck with my own personal life and the way I have been handling things. So there's a lot on my mind today, and that's mainly one of the reasons why I wanted to speak and make a podcast and to be able to express my ideas and hopefully teach people and bring them some value. But the contradictions in the media and within us, our own selves, because I feel like the contradictions that we see outside of ourselves are only a manifestation of the contradictions that we hold within ourselves. Awareness of the dark side or the shadow self or whatever it is that's manifesting all this. I feel like it's just a reflection, but I just keep seeing these crazy contradictions in the media and just the way, what's going on and what's happening in reality. And, I wonder if people ever really think about life too deeply or the direction that humanity's headed. And I feel like this podcast is for people who do kind of concern themselves with things that aren't of just like a gross, rudimentary reality, but also not to neglect the gross, rudimentary reality. But, I feel like the Plutonians and the healers and the light workers and the spiritual warriors all kind of like concern themselves with bigger things on a higher plane, but we all are down here at this gross level of reality, and this is where we're at, and this is where the work needs to be done. So it's up to us to be honest and take a real hard look at ourselves and ask what we can do to serve whatever it is. I mean, I would like to say, you don't have to be a Christian or part of a religious group, or I just want to say that this podcast is for anyone, atheists or agnostics or Christians or deists or Hindus or people who believe in anything. This podcast is, I would hope, would be for anyone. But the topic I'm going to discuss today is kind of a spiritual / religious / metaphysical, abstract, and these are the kinds of things that I really enjoy and I've always been really interested in. But pardon me, tired, and pardon me for not having a more professional setup here. a better introduction. I'm just getting started. This is my 11th podcast, and I started it almost a year, which I should have close to 52, or should have close to 50. But I've been slacking. However, the Trinity is the topic I wanted to discuss today, and it's a very complex yet simple thing that we all could use some information on. We could all benefit from it, because I'm just going to point out the ways that I see the Trinity interact. The Trinity is on many different levels, and one of the most basic fundamental levels of our human understanding at the atomic level is the Trinity of the proton, the electron, and the neutron, which is pretty amazing. If you think about it, you have the proton and electron swirling around the neutron. Pretty sure that's how it works. And between that is just a vast amount of space. And all those forces, basically, the way I see it is you have the neutral force, and you have a positive force and a negative force. Neutron, proton, electron, and neutron, they all interact with each other. The electromagnetic force is probably represented by the electron, and the magnetic force would probably be represented by the neutron, and the balancing force probably represented by the electron. There's just basically positive, negative, and neutral, and these are like the fundamental forces of reality, and they all interact with each other to create reality. And then when you seal that off, you add in the fourth element, then that's how you build. It's just positive, negative, neutral, and then fourth element is space or time, and that's what you build with, and that's how you create. And everything is in balance with these numbers and everything. But one of the major things I wanted to point out was how I have recognized the Trinity in the system that we're established in. People are going to call me, I've always been called crazy and everything, but basically the Trinity comes from the Father, Son, Holy Spirit in Christianity, especially if you're Catholic. But it's also in Hindu as the creator, destroyer, and preserver. It's like Brahman, Vishnu, and Shiva, or something like that. I know it's Vishnu, Shiva, and Raman. I can't remember I'm sorry, I'm butchering this right now, but it's found in basic creation here on the human level, with how we create on the human level, which is a male and a female, a masculine, feminine, a positive and a negative force. The male is the positive force, the female is the negative for the receptive, and then the neutralizing force is sex. It's what we come together, and that's how we create. That's how you create life as a human on the human level. That is the representation of the Holy Trinity. And then in the abstract science of Kabbalism, or Kabbalah, you have the Godhead, and the Godhead is also a term used in Hindu as well, but and the Trinity is also found in Buddhism, but in the abstract science of Kabbalah, it is Kether Hokmah Binah. It's the Godhead. It's the Ayin Saf and Ayin Saf Or, which is basically Hebrew for Ayin is the representation of the limitless light, and then there's limitlessness, and then limitless space, and then the limitless light. And that's just basically like the highest levels of existence is a basically a boundlessness of conscious awareness. It's the organizing principle of the universe. But and the gross level is kind of weird. You can see it in our military, or not our military, but the way that the system is set up. Basically, the matrix could be described in a triunity or a trinity, and where you have three forces working together to create something, and what they are creating is pretty negative, in my opinion. It's definitely weird. I guess it's just the embodiment. It's just like the physical manifestation of the ego, I guess, what the matrix would be, for me, my opinion. But if you look at the federal government and the news media and the corporations, and I would say that the masculine positive force would probably be probably the corporations, and then like the neutralizing force would be the governments, and then the negative force would be the media. But they all work together and they all form this matrix. And it's sad that people can't see how it's like that for even like the Democrat and the Republicans, and then the make up the federal government. So there's a trinity inside the trinity again. Like, it's very simple to see if you are willing to look at it without your emotions. And most people will agree, that they're not different anymore these days. But it's just crazy how people can't see that, like, the pharmacies are paying the media that people think is free and funded by the government. Yeah, the government has its fingers in the media, but it's just the crazy thing is that the pharmaceutical commercials are all over normal TV, and the corporations, pay the telecommunications companies, the media, to advertise and brainwash us and control us. And that's the vibration that this technology is putting out and has been putting out for a very long time. And the government just creates laws that empower the media and empower the corporations, because the politicians are bought off. Congress is bought off, the Senate is bought off, Democrats are bought off, the Republicans are bought off. The president is nothing more than the winner of the pageant of the United States, the popularity contest. That's all the president of the United States is. The winner is population, or the popularity contest. And the craziest thing, and if I was actually anybody and had a following, I'd receive backlash for saying this, but popular vote, from my perspective, the most popular candidate was President Trump. And I shouldn't even call him that, but Donald Trump, he was definitely the most popular choice for many people. And I just don't see how anyone could still have faith in this system after seeing, if they think they could just wait for Trump to get back into office to fix shit, which is very, very potential to happen in the future. They're going to keep him around, at least just to distract the conservatives and the Republicans and the so-called patriots, the people who believe in freedom and want freedom, and realize that we've sacrificed so much for our way of life, the blood of our family on that flag. I get that. My own family is veterans, but I just find it hard to wrap my head around anyone that would actually still be willing to vote for Trump after he declared a national emergency and signed all the legal paperwork to get these vaccines and a federal emergency authorization, and declared a national emergency, triggering a chain reaction to all the states who did the exact same thing, which, by the way, our state did the same thing as the Chinese state. So at this point, I don't see any difference between Trump and China. Trump loves China. Trump did exactly the same thing that China did, which was declare an emergency and lock his people down, closed up the borders. So there's that. That's how I feel about that. And that's why I have the question, are you still voting for the lesser evil? Because you're still voting for evil. And the only real votes that matter in this COVID corporate capitalist fucking land of fairy tales that we live in is with your money, with your dollars, and your time. When you spend your time, you're spending your attention, you're spending your only real currency, which is time and attention. You convert that into money, and then what you pay and buy with your money is the only way you can really vote in this fucking capitalistic country. That's what the driving force is money. So the way you spend your money is one of the most defining things in this reality. And how you spend your time to get that money is another, and what you do with your free time is another way to define yourself, to ask yourself critically, what am I doing with myself? That's why so many people feel a lack of purpose, is because they're just driving this machine. They're just driving the mechanism forward. This whole thing has been mechanized and fine-tuned and retuned and more mechanized. And it's really what it is the culmination of the peak. It's the culmination of ignorance manifesting in this reality is what it is. The Trinity is the force that unites us all, and it's within our bodies as well, because you have a right brain and a left brain, and then you have the I think it's called the corpus callosum that unites the right and left hemispheres, and then you have the pineal gland right in the center, third eye. But the right and left hemisphere both represent the masculine and feminine aspects, the logical side and the creative side of the mind, brain, which make up our psychology and our behaviors and our habits. Oh, pardon me, I'm tired today. I've worked 50 hours last week, and it's been hard for me to be consistent with this podcast because I've been going through a lot of traumatic issues myself, and having to spend a lot of time just to make ends meet. So it's been difficult to discipline myself and try and create something of value. Do this podcast consistently and get my thoughts organized and be professional. But the main contradictions that I've seen today that are just so obvious about this COVID narrative is really falling apart, and it's just astounding. But there's an article on Twitter, looking for it right now, there's a basketball player that said that the vaccine gave him blood clots and that it ruined his season and probably his career, and the NBA is hiding it. They don't want him to say anything about it. It's just crazy. You just look at what some of the people say about it. So this article, sorry about the loud truck, is by Jim Hoft. It was published October 14th, 2021. And here's the headline if you want to go read it. NBA player got blood clots from COVID vaccine that ends his season. NBA told him to keep it quiet. And there's a whole video, I guess. He plays for Atlanta Hawks. Point guard Braden Goodwin. Minor respiratory condition. According to a team report, the Hawks went on a deep postseason run to the Eastern Conference Finals. The team decided not to bring Norcross graduate back after drafting Shafri Cooper and signing DeLon Wright. Goodwin has not signed with another NBA team since. I got sick and I never recovered from it. I would always have back pain. I would just super tired in games. He says, bro, I was so tired. I felt like I couldn't run up and down the court. My back was hurting. My back really started hurting bad. Then I'm like, okay, I need to go to the doctor. That's when I found out I had blood clots. That was all within the span of a month. Goodwood then left nothing up to the imagination when he revealed what he believed caused the health issues. I was fine until then. I was fine up until I took the vaccine. I was fine. Blood clots have been reported as rare side effects of the Johnson & Johnson's Janssen COVID-19. That's a mouthful. Women under the age of 50 are advised to remain cautious about the rare but increased risks of developing a blood clot, says the CDC, a risk that has not been seen in other vaccine options. People are trying to tell you, no, it's not the vaccine. How do you know? You don't know. Yes, the vaccine ended my season, 1,000%. We're going to tell the press that your season's over with, Goodwin recalls. I'm like, damn, how? Like, I don't even know what it is. But it's whatever. I'm not going to get into all that, bro. I still got love for the Hawks, mad love for the Hawks. So here you have an NBA player that says that he got 1,000%. He's sure 1,000% that he got the COVID jab, the Johnson & Johnson, and it gave him blood clots and it ruined his career. And you see people on Twitter in the comments still trying to defend the official narrative. Still. Like, it just blows my mind. And some of the other things I seen on Twitter today was defund the media movement. All these people out here protesting in front of the New York Times saying defund the media, and people still defending the mainstream media. Like these Karens over here just speaking like straight ignorance, saying, here's a comment from Kate. Yesterday, a group of anti-vaccine mandate protesters stood outside of the New York Times, a privately owned company, chanting, defund the media. Seriously, how much does this concentrated stupid find each other? They got memes over here. dumber, sir. They don't realize the media isn't funded by the government. No, the media isn't funded by the government. How about the breaks that the government gives media for lying, for their taxes, for the lies? God, it's just the media has done the most damage here. And then one of the other things that it really got me thinking was pardon me, I'm tired today, but there was something in here about the NSA workers, and I don't know if I took a screenshot of that or not, but oh yeah, here's another article here. States spent at least 89 million on COVID-19 vaccine lotteries. None of them worked, research suggested. And it's like, that's when they really lost me, when they were starting to give out money for the COVID vaccine to try and coerce people into taking it. And it's just disgusting. I'm looking over here on my Twitter account to find these articles, and it's just insane. The TSA was, let's see here. No, I guess I didn't save the TSA one. It was about the TSA saying they feel like they're the lowest of the low on the whole tier of government workers. How they're scared of people that aren't wearing masks, and they're scared of coronavirus, and they feel like they're being mistreated, and they're just counting down their days till retirement, because obviously they're living off of the system, and that's the only reason why any of those people got that job, is so they could have basically the easiest job you can get and work for the government. One of the easiest. And that's probably why it's so low pay. It might be lower paid than most of the other government workers, but you got to look at the government. People that work for the government make like 20% more than your average American. And most of us are just working 9-to-5 jobs here. Inflation has been going up astronomically, and wage has not been growth. Wage has been stagnant. Which is why we need to create more value in this society, because it's just a throwaway society while we're here just throwing away these single-use masks. The amount of single-use plastic that's going in this world is just creating more and more trash. And then the more trash we make, we're just digging our own grave. The technology is not going to save us. It will enslave us unless we start to really use this technology in the way that we can at our maximum capacity, which is another reason why I'm so sorry, people. I'm not yawning so much. Why I've been so passionate about making my podcast and using my devices to gather information, to do research, investigate, and that's something that I'm really good at. Just information finds me. It's like the truth comes to me, and it's like sometimes I'm not even looking for it, but the people are so divided. It's just saddening. It's really hard to deal with. But the good news is, pardon my voice. The good news is today, folks, that Jupiter and Mercury are going direct. And Saturn's been going direct. And that's, kind of one of my other little pastimes is I do like studying the planets and the celestial movements because it's just a clock. And we have these periods of time that are clearly reflected through the heavens and what happens on Earth. Every 20 years, you have a new generation born, and every 20 years, you have a grand conjunction. People born within those have a title. I'm a millennial, and I'm in a generation known as the hero generation, and it's up to us to be heroes. It's why I made my Facebook page is because I thought that, you know, a bunch of the Plutonians, the Pluto and Scorpio people would find that and collectivize into